Hello, welcome to this channel. I'm the writer, I'm the creator of this channel where I write original stories in the second person narrative to bring you an immersive experience. So for this week's story, it actually came from my dream. I wake up with this dream and I was like, before I forget about it, let me write it down. So I wrote down what happened in the dream and I had all the things memorized. Then throughout the creative process, I wrote down small details and then things I want to add on to it. And then the story became about pain, about suffering, about all the emotion, about finding yourself, about becoming who you want to be without compromising who you genuinely are. And all the expectations, all the religious symbolism, everything that I can think of right now. Things about religion, things about group society, all the norms, everything that I want you to explore while you listen to the story. So let's dive in and enjoy. Oh, before I go, if you guys have a chance after watching this video, please go to my channel, subscribe. I have stories that I've written about fantasy, love, romance, everything that you can think of. I really hope you enjoy and see you on the other side.
How much would you sacrifice to keep being who you are? Do you have the strength to love yourself and appreciate yourself like you should? And what would you do if you have to leave the place where you were formed to be who you are today? Settle in for a journey where paradise becomes prison and the only way out is through the darkness. Hello, fellow humans. This is Lots of Hope. Welcome to this episode of The Living Journey, where we escape and explore a life in an alternate universe. Thank you for your support. Now, let's decompress. The Shadow Keeper. If people ask you where you grew up, your answer would be paradise. Living in a castle built on top of a mountain. Below the castle, a city built and layered along the edge of the mountain. Constructed spiraling down till the vast flatland. From afar, you had more than once gushed over the magical scenery. The whole mountain, along with the city, seemed to be held up by the clouds. Sometimes, when you rode the horse away from the city in the early morning, at the sunrise, you looked back. The whole city turned into the most beautiful image, like a hallucination after traveling in the desert without water for days. And it was majestic and surreal. After a long trip, you accomplished your mission to distribute the much-needed aids and technologies to the innocent villagers who didn't live in the city of abundance. Riding your horse fast, you tried to get back to the gate before the dark sky closed the gate automatically. Arriving back inside of the vast and grand city gate, you took care of your beloved horse, took off your blessed leather armors, wrapped them up with the cloak that was on your shoulders. Holding the armor and the swords in your hands, you felt the refreshing air again circulating under your linen clothes. Looking up towards the castle at the top of the mountain, you once again breathed the air from the city that gave you so much love. Walking up the mountain, passing by the city market, merchants, factories, church, libraries, and so many childhood memories and various architectures. Remembering the time you ran through the streets like a bull, racking up the peace of the regular citizens with your pranks. Remembering once you were disciplined for racking up the wooden structure and dry-wood straw roof canopy outside of a restaurant, and your parents paid for an upgrade, rebuilt a new canopy out of marble and steel to pay back the restaurant, to avoid a loyal scandal. When your parents were still with you, they once expressed their regrets of not making you learn the lesson after you almost set the same restaurant on fire. Of course, the restaurant wasn't the only one that had suffered. The library, with a set of precious classic literature replaced by erotic story scrolls, on the day of the city publicly displaying them to the citizens. The jewelry shop that only takes appointments to prevent recreational shoplifting. The priest who dared not to cover his mouth to avoid his dentures being hidden in a discreet corner of the church again. The naughty list goes on and on and on. Seeing your best friend since childhood in the arsenal, he greeted you with his usual big hug, holding you tightly as you both refused to let each other go, and all of his co-workers just stop working and look at you. He is the most pure soul and the most kind person that you have ever met, not to mention how golly handsome he is. He had always been your safety latch, preventing you to build a huge snowplow to roll it down from the castle on top of the hill to the gate of the city, which quote unquote would cause an avalanche. You once joked that he is the version of you who had been trapped and trained by the king to the king's exact desire. Oh, this fire cannon pistol will burn you to the ash. Do not touch it. Your best friend warned you. And you took your hands off the table and begged him to take you out tonight for a fun, relaxing evening. I heard there's a party tonight, celebrating the new magical ceremony to remove all the evils. They will demonstrate the transformation of a prisoner. Let's go see it. Reluctantly, you dragged your best friend to the grand banquet hall below the castle. It was odd to experience the ceremony. As the king stood on the platform, the crowds separated for the prisoner. The prisoner, strapped in your chair, was pushed into the banquet hall. You could see the violent prisoner struggling with anger, aggression, and fear in the eyes. Not knowing what was going to happen, curiosity pushed you to stand on your toes, leaning against your best friend as you tried to keep the balance. Did you not go into your uncle's study to check out what he is going to do this time? Your best friend dragged you towards him, trying to hide his curiosity, and whispered in your ears. The noisy, chattering crowd was discussing the heinous crimes by the prisoner, as if the crime and the victims were just gossips. You shook your head, looked towards the king, kissed your best friend's ears, and replied, I wouldn't be here if he wasn't so mysterious. When your best friend wanted to say more in your ears, the crowd became quiet. Looking to the king, he gestured with his arms, signaling everyone to be quiet, and he made a speech about how he wanted to improve the life of the citizens since he took over the power after your parents' passing. And today, he would evict the evils out of the prisoner's body so that he could become a contributing member of the city. Filled with speculation, you witnessed the king summon water from nowhere, creating an awkward sphere in the middle of the air. As the strapped prisoner floated with the wheeled chair closer and closer to the floating sphere, then got sucked into the water It was a new magic that nobody had ever witnessed, especially since the practice of magic by citizens had been banned generations ago. Seeing the prisoner gasping for air in the middle of the air under the wooden truss of the roof, you couldn't help but feel the intensity inside of your lungs, almost as if you're being trapped inside with the prisoner and couldn't breathe. With your head looking up, the body losing strength due to the lack of oxygen, your body stiffened up into paralysis. Thankfully, the crowds and your best friend held you up. Before the prisoner suffocated, a strong light shot out from the prisoner's heart. With the light beam so powerful, everyone in the room besides you closed their eyes and looked down. With the splashing and crackling sound, the aquasphere shattered like a crystal ball. The prisoner and the chair fell onto the ground, broken apart. The shattered sphere splashed diamond like fractured light all over the grand hall before evaporating back into the air. Your stiffened body finally resumed its muscle control, breathing heavily, being held up by your best friend. Both of your attentions got turned to the unconscious prisoner, who was laying on the ground, steaming like a dumpling fresh out of the pot. Gesturing that you were fine, you breathed deeply. Couldn't hear what the king was saying. You just heard the ringing in your ears and the memory of the light shattering around the room. A small dark matter shoot towards you and hit you in the chest. Still feeling the pain in your heart, you touched around your clothes and couldn't find a wound. The following day, the prisoner woke up and was set free. Seeing the prisoner walking out of the castle from your tower window, you could see the posture and demeanor of the violent prisoner had changed. Enjoying the bright sunlight for just a short time, he walked down the hill, past the banquet hall, and disappeared into the city. Sitting in the bar, enjoying your time hanging out with your best friend, you overheard the behaviors of the prisoner being outstanding. Apologizing to the victims, trying to pay back the debt by working hard, and had been gentle, nice, and kind for the past couple of days since the magical ceremony. I had heard a lot of people would soon respond to the call to be purified. Your best friend leaned in. Everyone working for the king would get a priority. Purified? You questioned, feeling a bit of the oddness in your heart, not sure how you feel about the transformation of the prisoner, feeling happy for the new birth of the completely corrupted and wasted man, but thinking about all the kind people working in the castle, for the city, and for the arsenal, all the people that you like, needing to be purified, you felt wrong. So you asked your best friend to wait, at least until your new mission was accomplished, and when you find out more from the king. But your best friend didn't agree, citing the peer pressure might cause him to go through the process before your return. If people like you need to be purified, what does that leave me? Trying to convince your best friend, who had always been your moral compass, who always keep you grounded on earth, who had inspired you to donate and rescue puppies, and helped you to start your aid distribution mission when you were the most lost and desperate. You continued, I love you the way you are already. Maybe it was the encouragement of the alcohol. unintentionally reaching out your hand, wanting to express how much you will miss him when you were gone. You held onto his hand lightly, not realizing that was your first time saying the word love. Waking up in your comfortable bed, having a gorgeous meal, then started your way out of the castle. Walking by the arsenal, your best friend had been waiting, giving you an unusual hug, holding you so very tightly you could feel his nose dug into your neck. Come back safe, he said, thinking that he would let your body go as usual. He continuously held your body. After a bit of hesitation, he said, I didn't say back last night, but I really want you to hear. I love you too, just the way you are already. Wanting to kiss him, but you see all the smiling, gossiping eyes in the arsenal waiting for you to kiss. You pulled him aside and gave him your first kiss ever, causing you to forget the plea for the last time, for him not to go through the magical ceremony, at least just yet. Riding the horse out of the city, seeing the majestic city grow out of the mountain, with the glorious sunlight, holding on to the endless hope and the sweetness in your heart, you departed to the villages. Seeing your return, some villagers showed you how they have been practicing starting a fire to cook, building more solid and stable housing, newly constructed water filtering station, and then showing you the crops that had been growing according to the plans that you had left. At night, drinking the special beer that was made by the villagers, anticipating for your return to thank you for the help. You drank with them by the fire and danced all night as they sung, then worked with the villagers for weeks, training the villagers to have a more sustainable and easier life. Every morning, waking up in the stiff bed made with crop straws, you couldn't help but miss your soft yet supportive mattress back in the castle. But when you finally got used to the straw bed, it was your time to depart for the next village, saying goodbye to the innocent villagers with the waves of a record number of newborns due to the surplus of food. You rode out of the small civilization, away from the absolute kindness and innocence. Back on the wild road, you relaxed a bit, mentally taking off the mask of pretending to be a serious teacher figure. You slouched back and started to talk to your horse again. Pretending to have a friendly conversation with the horse, you talked about the pranks that you had almost pulled, the laughs that you held back, trying to maintain your professional stiffness and pride as you were disciplining the youth, and the handsome villager who almost kissed you when you were drunk. The horse neighed at the gentle breeze, almost as if it was asking you, why didn't you? Thinking about your best friend, you told the horse that you just don't have any desire to kiss anyone but him. Before you could finish the conversation with the horse, a bear jumped out of the bush, and before the horse could get startled by the bear, your frightened scream scared the horse. Once again, before you got thrown off the horse, you elegantly fetched one of the swords, jumped up in the air like a gymnast, and then slashed the bear before it could attack your horse. Seeing the monstrous bear that was double the size of you and the horse combined, you took a deep breath and calmed yourself down. Then the horse walked between you and the bear, shook off your leather armor from its back, and signaled with its nose, asking you to put on the protection. Months later, when you returned to the city, from afar, you looked at the glorious city, not sure if it was your hallucination. In your sight, under the sunlight, the city grew a pearl-like lust, looking even dreamier than ever before. Returned to the city, even your horse felt a huge change. Looking more curious than ever, the horse sniffed around and neighed quietly. Sensing that it didn't enjoy the change, you comforted the horse and sent it back to its stalls. Seeing the anxiety that you had never imagined, the horses in the stalls all neighed at the same time. Refusing to be locked in, your horse stomped around, not sure if it was just the light from the window tricking your eyes. You saw a shadow in the corner wiggling into the darkness. When you tried to lock the stall, the horse cried. Like comforting a baby, you gestured that you would leave the door unlocked and warned it to stay cool and not cause a chaos. Couldn't wait to see your best friend again, to kiss him and hug him into your body. Adding on the distraction from the horses, you accidentally left your swords and armors in the stall. Ran up the hill, got straight away to the arsenal. They were unusually busy, looking at all the machines and the manufacturing line being fired up, producing hundreds, if not thousands, of the fire cannon pistols, with the fire brightening up almost every corner of the room. You could see there were dark shadows trying to hide from everybody. As you were about to ask, your best friend appeared in your sight. He was so radiant. Getting a big hug from him, kissing hard and passionately, and you made plans to see each other again after he finished walking, not realizing that the unusual curious crowd didn't make much of a fuss about you kissing your best friend. Once again, running up the hill, back into the castle, in your bedroom, cleaned up, you realized that you had forgotten the armors in the stall with your horse. When you sensed your best friend arriving at the castle, you looked out the window, seeing him walking through the gate and the courtyard. You anxiously posed yourself to show your best side to your best friend since the childhood, not sure when the love developed into the uncontrollable desire and craving. You remembered all the doubts, all your excitements, and all your disappointments, and all the happiness. With the antique grand doors being opened by the knights, the love and dream both came true. During a conversation in bed, you were told that most of the city had gone through the ceremony, including him, your best friend, who is now your love. He described the city had become totally revived and is now more than ever a heaven than he had ever remembered. The gossips and the hates were almost gone. People were working hard, and there was almost no need for the law enforcement anymore, so that the king will soon disband the force after all citizens were purified. Wait, all citizens? In shock, you asked. Yeah, it's the new law. Including you, there are only a handful of unpurified citizens left. Feeling very odd, your heart felt an anxiety, almost as if there is a frightening muscle in your chest. The heart couldn't stop beating faster and faster. In the following days, everywhere that you went, you had received icy treatments. No longer the citizen's loyal air. You couldn't get a hi back from anyone, and greetings to you had become rushed. All the citizens would run away after seeing you, and all the experiences made you doubt the ceremony even more. And when you asked your uncle, he explained that all the citizens were now all pure souls. Seeing you being contaminated, walking amongst them, they saw you as an outsider. No need to worry. Once you're purified, they will treat you as their own, the king said, in a strange way that you didn't recognize, even after knowing him your whole life. Seeing the last couple of the citizens being purified in the banquet hall, in the complete silence as you awaited for the ceremony to begin, all of your goosebumps on your skin stood up. Dare not even whisper into your love's ear, as a pin drop could be heard by everyone. You went to hold hands of your love, and he held your hand so tightly. As the past week, you had only experienced cold treatments by everyone in the city. Only your uncle treats you as before, and your best friend treats you with all the love. Not noticing any differences of before and after of him being purified, you secretly think that your love is so very pure that he didn't change one bit. That gave you a bit of hope of feeling better with yourself being purified tomorrow. The heir to the throne, and the last one to be purified, you deserve a special treatment, not to mention that the special status of being the last citizen to be purified will gather you so much support when I join the rest of the family, the king described. As the last couple of citizens floated into the air, being sucked into the aqua spheres, you couldn't help but feel the pain in your chest once again. As everyone looked down and closed their eyes to avoid extreme bright light, you just couldn't help but look towards the light. As the first sphere broke, you saw the darkness flew towards you, and the diamond fracture light shone on your face. Feeling a punch on your chest, your stiffened muscles tightened. Seeing the second, then the third, then the last sphere broke, you saw the darkness that flew towards you more and more clearly. It was a dark shadow with the screaming face, with all the sadness, pain, fear, and trauma shooting towards you, hitting your heart with harder and harder punches. Couldn't even make a sound from your locked muscles. You breathed deeply and heavily, nearly collapsing onto the ground. But thankfully, your love was there to support you, holding you up to avoid collapsing. On the way back to the castle, the sky had turned dark. Seeing the crowds leaving the banquet hall in the different direction, you found a quiet spot to talk to your love about your hesitation. Describing your experience, you saw in the dark the shadow creeping around, trying to approach you. You were alarmed, trying to find your swords by your waist, and realized that you didn't have them with you. Seeing your love noticed your movements, the shadow hid away into the darkness. My God is telling me not to go through the ceremony. It has not been a good experience so far. Too many red flags. Everything in the city changed. Only you are the same as before. I'm terrified. I'm not as pure as you are, and I won't be the same after the ceremony. That's not how I want to be. Your love nodded his head and hugged you into his chest, comforting you. No matter who you are, I will always love you because of you. Before you could respond, you heard a person walking by. The person, seeing your love, kindly greeted him. But when you turned your face around, seeing it was a court chef who had been cooking for you for over 10 years and was always nice to you, providing you with all the delicious food that you had ever personally requested. But seeing your face, the chef couldn't jump away from you fast enough, truly seeing you as an outsider. At night, unable to sleep, you got out of the bed, walked to the window, overlooking the whole city, cast under the pearl-like aura. With the cool moonlight, you could see in the darkness the shadows trying to escape the city, but locked in by the magical light dome. Feeling even more anxious, you looked back at your bed, seeing your love sleeping soundly, with a peaceful smile on his face. You could feel the cold moonlight turning warm. The next day, the castle and the city started the chaotic preparation. Some people were decorating, some people were cleaning, some people were organizing the ceremony for you in the late afternoon, and most people were cooking the large banquet fest for after the ceremony. Everyone was hopeful and excited about your purification and transformation. Couldn't wait to have you joining their league, once again welcoming you back as their future hope. In the afternoon, everyone gathered both inside and outside of the banquet hall, waiting and parting a clear route for you to enter into the ceremony. When you appeared from the castle gate, with your love and the king by your side, seeing the excitement from everyone who you used to know, expecting you to become who they want you to be, you walked with the heaviest footstep into the banquet hall, smelling the delicious food. You have no appetite to eat. After a brief speech by the king, the aquasphere appeared in front of you, feeling all the sadness, pain, fear, and trauma that you had experienced in your heart. You felt your body floated up towards the sphere, staring at the sphere, seeing the changes, and your future getting closer and closer to you. As the person who is supposed to be you, but you can barely recognize, stared back at you. You fell into an even stronger panic, resisting the gravitational pull into the sphere. You screamed loudly, so loud that your voice traveled to the edge of the city. Even your horse could hear you protest against the transformation. With the loud scream, everyone fell into a dismay, covering their ears, clenching their teeth to wish for you to stop the cry. Before you got sucked into the sphere, your howl exploded the sphere from the inside. The water quickly burnt up, shooting towards the ceiling of the banquet hall like lava, and instantly the banquet hall caught on fire. When you woke up, your silk robe had been stained by ashes and the short but heavy rain that stopped the fire. Seeing the darkening sky through the hole in the ceiling, and all the citizens of the city stood outside of the banquet hall with the king. Looking around, it was only your love holding you, trying to protect you from all the harsh sights with disappointments and rejections. Hearing the crowds that had started to scream, rejecting you as their future leader, trying to calm the crowd down, the king was going to open his mouth. But your horse flew into the banquet hall from the burnt ceiling cave and landed before you, kneeling down before you, with your armor and swords hanging between the teeth. Your love threw you onto the horse, took the cloak, armor, and swords from the horse, clothed you, and asked you to hold down to him. With the horse once again jumped into the sky, landing on the collapsing roof. It took you, jumped off the grand banquet hall, and landed somewhere behind the crowds. And the shadows, sensing you, quickly latching onto your cloak. The crowds grew restless. Some started chants of disapproval, seeing the dark shadows finding you as their safe harbor. Without knowing what was going on, they started to chase you and demanded you to be executed. You started to hear the footsteps of them chasing you, and more of the shadows came out of the darkness, latching onto your cloak. Your love asked you to hold on to him tightly. Don't let go, he commands you. Riding through the streets of the city that you had so much fun growing up and living in, all is now so different. The fire and light that lit up the street when your shadow infested cloak passing through them, sweeping off all the hope and joy along with it. Trying to take off the cloak, you realized the shadow had climbed all the way up your face, covering your skin, and was slowly soaking into you. The horse neighed and grunted, trying to push its limits while carrying you, your love, and all the darkness of the city out of the harm's way. Suddenly, a fireball flew by you, missing you and then hitting the building next to you. Are they crazy? Your love screamed, realizing some of the citizens had gotten the cannon pistol from the arsenal. You felt your heart pumping even more rapidly. Seeing the building that was hit instantly burnt into ashes and collapsed before you had even had a chance to strategize. And soon, more and more fireballs flew towards you. But thankfully, the city was built on the mountain. Your curved escape route, spiraling down the mountain, helped you to avoid all the damages from the straight trajectory from the deadly weapons, destroying buildings after buildings. Screams and smoke arose. They are getting too close to us. We won't reach the gate before it's closed. I'm going to hop off the horse. You will ride out. The horse would take you to one of the villages for safety. I love you. Looking to the sky, the sun had disappeared from the sky. You could hear the gate slowly closing as you were ready to let go. The horse shook its back legs, humped you back to its back, and your love grabbed your shadow-infested, icy cold hands while holding to the rein. They rode closer and closer to the gate, while the fire cannon aimed closer and closer towards you. With a weak body, you pulled all the last strength, looking back towards the mountain city, thinking this would be the last time seeing the place where you grew up, became an adult, and fell in love. We will make it. We will get out of the gate, and they will be locked in. Hold on to me tight. Once again, your love commanded, and gently talked to the horse. Take us out. I have seen you race. I know you can. Seeing the gate slowly closing up, your horse focused all of its tension with all the strength, leaped out of the gate before the sky turned completely dark. Hearing the sound of the metals latching the gate, all three of you released some tension and felt a bit relieved. It's so very dark. The moon barely reflects light. Even after rain, it was still cloudy. Borrowing the light from the aura, the horse slowed down, and you looked around, found the way to the villages. Are you feeling better? Your love asked. The dark shadow slowly releasing the grip on you, and the cold hand that had been held by your love slowly resumed some of the warmth. You said yes, feeling the muscles in your chest being pulled from the inside by the shadow. You grunted in a low noise, and the shadows that entered into your body during the previous ceremonies exited your body as you felt happy that the dark shadows were detaching from your body. A series of loud noises from the city caused them to clench back to your body. Hearing the chaos behind the gate, loud arguments, and then hearing a commanding voice asking everyone to move back, you realized they would try to blow the gate open to catch you. Run, fast! Before you could finish the warning, your horse had once again understood and started to run for the hills. Hearing the fire cannons pounding the gate with a rhythm that matched your heartbeats, the gate that stood for hundreds of years got blown open from the inside. In the vast open land, with no cover before you could escape into the forest for safety, you felt desperate, knowing that if they caught up, all three of you would be in huge trouble. So, you grabbed the rein, tied your love's hand to the rein. Before he could turn around and scream at you, you kissed the back of his neck and jumped off the horse with your swords. Seeing your horse, with less weight on it, ran much faster towards the forest, you took a deep breath, looked down to the shadow-covered skin and cloak, then walked back towards the carnage-ridden city. Seeing the fire cannon shooting towards you, you didn't want to hurt any of the citizens, so you jumped around to avoid injuries and hopefully slow the mobs down. But within seconds, you were exhausted, seeing the fire coming closer and closer, more and more intense. The fire lightened up the sky, and you could see the whole city smoking in ruins. Sorrow mixed in with the fear of demise. The sadness grew from your heart, and the endless terror from your mind peeled off all the shadows of your body, detaching the cloak from your shoulders. Before the dragon made of fire could swallow you, the darkness turned into a shield, creating an iron curtain, locking all the attacks and the crusaders behind. So you turned around. You started to run after the horse and your love. Before you were completely out of breath, your horse ran back to you, picked you up, and ran into the forest. In the safety, you regrouped with your love. You looked towards the city for the last time. Oddly, it was the first time you saw the city in the darkness, with a pearl-like aura, but in ruins. The light from the fire cannons attacking the dark curtain shone up the city. The firepower slowly disintegrated all the sadness, pain, fear, and trauma. As the moonlight pierced through the thick clouds, shining your way in the darkness, you held your love's hand and walked the horse towards the closest village. I can't believe that you abandoned us, your love said, and the horse neighed to agree. You stopped the steps and said, I didn't have a choice. I had to slow them down. I know. Your love looked towards you and said, I love you, before kissing you passionately. That's all for this episode of The Living Journey. I truly am grateful for your time. Feel free to leave your reviews. Please like, follow, or subscribe. Do share this show so we can grow together. Until next time, lots of hope. Signing out.